In our film opening, Brother Bond, we challenged the code and conventions of a typical psychological thriller film by starting the film in daytime. We felt as if a lot of psychological thrillers usually begin at night, as this adds tension, but with our film, we started it in day, with still a lot of tension active due to the overall characters being disabled, which therefore makes them vulnerable. This means that literally anything can happen to them. They just have to hope luck is on their side. We wanted to challenge this genre, as usually in a psychological thriller, the story is clear in the opening, and this usually gives the audience everything they should know already for preparation for the actual film. We challenge this, as when you watch the film opening, you're very confused as to what the actual story is. It's almost as if the Enigma code is happening all the while. So as the audience, you want to find out how the boys ended up here. For instance, how did they get to the woods? In addition to this, films under this genre have a lot of dialogue between the characters. This is for building up detailed information for the audience to receive. For the story to be built up and for them to know the analogy of the characters, we discarded the use of dialogue, so in our film opening we have no dialogue at all. Instead, the audience should use their eyes to see the visual moving images for them to be able to justify what is going on, which still makes it a psychological genre. We both believe strongly that a psychological thriller can still be made without no dialogue. Visual moving images is just another concept that comes in with dialogue for the audience to soak it all in, for them to be able to see the story develop. It also went well to establish both characters to be disabled in order for them not to speak, showed an uncertainty connection between the two of them. Of course, one being blind, the other deaf. Usually, a psychological film opening involves developing both the story and the characters, like we've established already. This is for the story to build up amongst the audience, as well as for them to, of course, see a development. However, we challenge this by putting the audience in a situation that they have to join in with the overall storyline, just from the beginning of the film. For example, as the audience, you've got no clue what sort of journey the brothers have been leading up to their walk through the woods. This means that, as directors and creators of the film, it's our job to make sure that we achieve to do all of this through our filming skills and our writing skills, making sure the mise en scène meets our requirements, as well as editing towards the end of the production process. So, we witness a journey that these two characters have been on. Both are strongly developed emotionally and physically, but the audience have to catch on with this and basically pick up the pieces as to why this might be, before even seeing the reasons as to why the character, Arthur, may even have a bruise on his face. Psychological thriller theme. This was our way to challenge this. It's tradition that we see a character development in an opening of a psychological thriller. However, in our film opening, both characters are already developed. A way we also challenged the genre was by portraying a journey that the characters are on, due to the fact that we witness a long length of day shown under 3 minutes. Although I feel as if the product we have here completely matches the codes and conventions in a psychological thriller too, especially the fact that we have two easily distinguished characters who are easily noticeable. This doesn't just include their looks, but the characters themselves are mentally distinguished by their disabilities. Arthur, played by Ben, is a character who is tall and has ginger hair. His disability is that he's deaf, who also takes risks too, more than his other brother. You may see in an opening of a psychological thriller the character not even on a journey at all, as we are only just getting used to the character. This is done usually in one long day as well, not a very short period of time, and this is how we challenge the psychological thriller theme. Our final product of Brother Bond meets the usual requirements of a psychological thriller from the characters' minds being battled in a series of events, which contributes to the audience coming up with personal suggestions as to how they would conquer the same situation which the character has been asked to be put through. This is the whole point of the film being a psychological thriller, for the audience to contribute in their minds as to how they would have contributed to it. We made sure as well that the characters are trying to figure out who they really are, which is why we base the genre as a psychological thriller and what's seen most commonly in a psychological thriller. The characters' minds are opening up to the audience, as well as a look into how they react to the slightest things. This may have been seen when Arthur untied the piece of cloth which was tied around his and his brother's wrists, as this may illustrate himself wanting to be more independent in life and wanting to discard his disability to discard some of the things he can't do. At the end of the opening, we show a man holding a gun, which is familiar to the theme of death, a concept which is valued a lot in psychological thrillers. This iconography helped with the reaction on Arthur's face. When he realised there was a gun there, he looked scared, which opens up his own mind, asking him the question, should he have really done this? We also reveal information in the opening that the other characters aren't aware of. For instance, when Arthur leaves Walter, his brother is still asleep at this point and has no idea, but we as the audience are aware of this. We accomplished this with just quick cuts by using the software Adobe Premiere Pro, helping us to create a transition between him walking silently right next to his brother to when he's moving out of the woods, showing that he's getting further away from him. It makes the audience satisfied that they know this actual piece of information and that his brother is a far distance away from his brother now. This itself shows the film to be known as a psychological. Finally, right at the end of the film, we show the Enigma code, where the audience are left on a cliffhanging edge as to having no idea what is happening next. This is between Arthur and the little boy, the question being, will he or will he not tell the older man with the shotgun that Arthur is there in the background, appearing on his land? An Enigma code is a psychological thriller's speciality, to thrill the audience and to push them on to watch more. Ultimately, we use the prop of a gun, which rises the feeling of tension even more. Adding even more tension, we constructed the facial expression that Arthur and the farmer boy pulls when both the two catch each other's eye, making sure they look real spooked out. This all comes under the mise-en-scène. We also portrayed the cameras into a point of view shot, having the view of Arthur looking at the boy and then swapping to the boy looking at Arthur, which puts the audience into the character's view. To conclude, the camera work is what also helped portray the ending, seeing the situation in 2 points of view.